All right, what's going on, you guys? So, real quick, I have the carbon minus plate that Sean was kind enough to ask me for some feedback on. So, I'm going to get lathered up here real quick and do a quick little shave for you guys. So, I was able to get one shave in before this video over the weekend, and the shave went, I think, pretty well. Considering that I've had a chance to try the original 6/8 plate, the plus plate, and the plus plate, it was a little hard to put into words exactly like how does it feel, or what would be like the major differences between the other plates. And the only thing I could really say off that first one was the results were very comfortable. I got a nick-free shave, which is a little bit more of a rare occurrence. Let me just add a little bit more water on this. And nowadays when I'm using, whatever various safety razors, as of right now, blades tend to be something that I pay attention a lot to. Luckily with the carbon, I don't think my blade selection has really been too picky. I think there's actually been really just a couple shaves, maybe just a more recent one using a Gillette Nasset that I really wasn't too fond of how that felt. Other than that, pretty much every blade that I've put in the carbon has worked out very well for me. So, but besides blade selection, just the angle at which I hold the razor tends to be something that I really pay attention to, and I think that's good. So the blade that I've been really testing and enjoying is Gillette Ruby Platinum Plus. This is the second use for this specific blade. This is the same one I used a few days ago for my shave. Okay, I'm gonna go across the grain for my first pass. The one thing that I'll mention is Sean had released that photo that kind of showed originally where the original base plate, I got my rinse bowl kind of low, you guys, so I apologize. But the original base plate, the plus and the plus, it kind of shows the angle at which those differ slightly, or however you guys want to put it. It's I think kind of a interesting little image. I'm glad that Sean had kind of put some updated remarks, just kind of going into further detail what that means, and I get how to read it, I guess, a little bit more. But if you guys notice how when he showed that same image recently, and it now has the minus plate on it, you'll notice that the minus plate is towards the top, and the one thing that I could, I guess, say after my first shave was, with that minus plate on the diagram being closer to the top, when I usually use the angle for, what was it? I guess the original 0.68 plate and the plus plus, I feel like I have to, hold it at a little bit of an angle. Whereas with this one, I felt like there was a very small adjustment to that handle, and the contact of the blade was pretty immediate. And not that it was like very sharp as far as the contact, but I found that it seemed like it was, I can't think of a better way to put it other than it was either quick or direct. Now, the other thing too that got put in one of the more recent posts was, that the blade gap is not the only thing that, should be used as like a metric. For me, I know that not everybody has liked the plus plus plate more than the original. And I think that I was trying to gather my thoughts maybe like a month ago. I know there was someone that made a post, and it was kind of interesting because around that time I was still really liking the plus plus, but I was finding that I was actually having good luck using the original base plate for my cleanup pass. And okay, so I'm going to do an against the grain starting from the neck. I wasn't able to get this area across the grain, but I think the base plate with the plus plus, since that has the 1.08 blade gap, I think one of the reasons why that one works better for me is, although some people are finding that it's more mild on their skin, or it's maybe not as efficient as the original or maybe the plus plate, I think the biggest difference for me is I'm probably using a little bit more pressure on my skin, especially while I'm using that plus plate. And it's actually made me think about, whether or not your first pass is going to be with the grain or maybe a slightly more aggressive direction. It makes me wonder if I'm really using beard reduction, because for me, if there's beard left there, like while I'm doing my first pass, that's okay. But I do think that maybe just for me personally, I try to, at least on that first pass, get rid of most of the hair if I can. So I wouldn't say that it's like a rule, but I think part of that just comes down to, over the years, I found that I try to limit the passes to 2 if I can. But I will tell you guys, just because this, we'll say last 6 months, I'm sure some people on the forums have seen some of my videos, but I will say since getting the carbon razor, I've gotten closer to daily shaving, as well as I've had, like, my most recent shave with this was closer to 3 passes, and my skin was still fine. So maybe over these next few months, I'm going to be even more happy with the carbon. And I may sound like a fanboy or whatever, but I will say, you guys, the geometry just seems to work very well for my skin. And the various base plates that I've been able to try, they're, I don't know, very intriguing to me. They seem to work very well, so I'm very happy that I've been able to try this, the Carbon brand, and just the different hardware. All right. So I'm going to do my last just with the grain pass. I will get another video or two in for you guys. So as of right now, again, it's the razor works well. The angle or the geometry doesn't really seem to be that that hard to find for me. Now, would I consider myself someone that has sensitive skin? I guess so. Just to be more specific. Although I like it doesn't have to be the most efficient razor, but I prefer a more efficient razor rather than a more mild one. But I still have to be careful because my skin is more nick prone, and razor burn is something I have to watch out for. So I would say for whatever reasons, the carbon designs seem to work well. I don't know that I can say it's the best on the market, but at least for me, even though I still haven't tried everything, this razor's been very intuitive for me, and I've been very happy with my shaves using the different carbon products. So I do hope in the next shave I can give you guys some more detailed thoughts on this specific plate. But I do think that another thing that I've realized, since I kind of mentioned to you guys that plus plate tends to be the one that I use the most. I'm sorry, the plus plate. Even between that and the .68 base plate, the original one, I think what I've realized is that some of my more positive results, what it makes me think about is the geometry of this razor tends to work really well for my skin. And so I would not say that it's like the most efficient on the beard. And for many, many years, I really enjoyed using both models of the Miele R41. And although this carbon razor's closed comb and the Miele R41 is a little bit, it's more so considered a faux open comb because it doesn't really have teeth, but it's kind of got those fake looking ones. The strokes per pass and how much beard can be taken off is pretty high on that razor. It's got a lot of blade overhang as well. Similar to what Sean knows, is part of the carbon design. Okay. So, you guys, I have to say, it's not very easy for me to have a nick-free shave. I mean, for the most part, I am human, I'm not perfect. I still try to really pay attention for most of my shaves, but it's just something I really have to work for. So let me just finish up my thought real quick. I think that these carbon shaves, I've noticed the closer I get to daily shaving, it's not about taking off every little bit of hair that might even be, kind of like a little bit below that top layer of skin. My feeling is, all these different years I've been shaving, for me, I do want to take just a little bit of that top layer of skin off. I mean, I could be wrong in thinking that that's, what you want or what you're doing. But in my opinion, part of that comes down to you know, you're exfoliating with the brush. The blade is obviously going to get beard, but it's going to get a small amount of that top layer of skin. And I think that I'm just realizing the more successful shaves that I have, they're probably just not the closest when it comes to beard and skin. I think I'm probably getting closer to, with these types of razors, getting rid of as much beard as possible without compromising how much skin I'm shaving off. So I think the shaves feel very comfortable. As far as post shave, I'm obviously limiting the amount of razor burn that I've been getting. It's still possible for me to get razor burn with the carbon if my technique's not good. But I think the next day following, there's a little bit of visible beard growth. So I think for me, that's the compromise that I'm willing to accept, is that for maybe some of you guys, you may like if you have a, I don't know, like an 18-hour to 24-hour, baby butt smooth type of feel. I can't think of very many razors. I did bring up the R41. That would be one where if I shaved and did a 3-pass today, I would still probably have a very close shave the next day. I'm just more prone to having razor burn with something like the R41. And so again, it's just when I feel my face after shaving with the carbon, and it's not the only razor, but it just seems like for me, it's the consistency of getting rid of the beard without being too harsh on the skin is very evident. That seems to be the biggest difference with what the geometry is like for how it works for me. So, closing thoughts just for today's shave. That's as much as I can give you guys. It seems like the blade is still very gentle, but the amount of angle, I just don't seem to need to lift the handle quite as much. And actually, now that I think about it, I might as well just mention this because Sean's looking. It looks like this base plate has a little bit of a bend in it. I don't know if that's the case on this side, maybe a little bit, but it seems like this is bent a little bit in the middle. But it still seems to be shaving fine. This is a prototype. Again, I appreciate Sean asking me to use it and try it out. So let me know if you guys have any more questions. I'm probably going to get this in for another 2 shaves this week. So I hope you guys all have a good one, and I will talk to you guys soon.